personality and wanting and willing to do a good job and work with people is important. But if your job primarily isn't in front of people, I would actually coach those recruiters to figure out, what are you truly looking for? Are you looking, you should be looking for their ability to learn, their ability to be coached, their ability to adapt to change, and asking questions around that rather than, is their personality like yours? Because I think most of the reason we are today is the like me factor is something I talk to recruiting leaders about is, of course you like people that are like you, but if everybody in the organization is of the majority and are hiring people like them, you're never going to do anything to change the diversity.
So where in this whole generate of things that you feel being liked is important?
I think in the values of the organization. So
There's that word, values. Almost. Okay. Personal values. How do you project your personal values to people when it comes to business?
So when it comes to business, I strive more toward the values of the company. My personal values may show up, but I think in anything you do that has a greater cause, it's not about you as an individual, it's about what you're doing and those that you're impacting. And so in everything I do, I really try not to make it about me personally, but how can I help someone else? How can I encourage my team? And if I'm doing the right thing, it's going to pay off for me as well. But I think not putting me and my self-interest at the center of things actually makes me humble and helps me to move along versus people that just focus on that.
You just threw another word in there. Being humble. I don't know any CEO that's humble. And I've seen billions of these guys.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you how many are and how many aren't. I've met some that are humble. A lot of leadership articles right now do talk about that humility is one of the key traits of leadership.
Right.
How many of them have read that same article, I don't know, but it's important.
Humility. You know what, I've thrown some really good questions into you, and you came out of 100%, I'm going to tell you that. You're brilliant. You're a brilliant woman. You're one of the smartest people I've had here.
Oh,
because, you know, I've been in the streets, I've lived in the street. I was 16, I hitchhiked this whole country. So I grew up with just about every faction, color, size, concept of individuals that you can come up with. And being a military contractor in the Middle East and in the Far East, it kind of put a different spin on life to me. So I'm going to throw something else at you, okay?
All right.
When you see problems that have festered for a long time, are you an analytical person that goes into it? Are you a patient person? Or are you a person that will wait and see how things come out for a while before you act?
So I definitely am someone to do my research, understand the core symptom of a problem before I jump in. I think the only exception is if there's people in need and there's something I can immediately do, then I want to take action. But I think so many problems we see, there is a surface problem that we try to throw resources at where we negate from the systemic issues. And until you often fix the core or the systemic issue, unfortunately what we're doing is not going to last for long-term change. And so I have to try to figure out what's the root cause and figure out who are people in my network or resources that I can help bring to affect the core reason to make long-lasting change.
What happens when you just have to make a spot decision about something? Where does the intuitiveness come from in you?
Usually it comes toward just trying to think of what is the outcome and how does it impact the person that or situation I'm trying to help and solve. And then having the confidence that I'm going to trust my gut, knowing that sometimes I will make mistakes and it's okay, that's how you learn. But knowing that a decision has to be made, I'm going to make it and stand by it, be humble if I made the wrong decision and move forward.
You're going to be a good leader.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're going to be damn good.
I've
seen from the jackass level all the way up to the brilliant. One of the most brilliant people that I've ever met in my whole life. His name was J.J. LaBourgeois. And he was the captain on the ship I was on, USS Halsey. And we were on search and rescue. And the guy made really, really bone good decisions. And I asked him, I said, I want to ask you something. He says, what? I says, you make some good decisions. He said, I'm afraid of you too. I said, well, I'm just your chief. I'm not anything to be afraid of. He said, you're one of these people. And I looked at him, I said, okay, what? He said, you look into the inside of people. And you know, that's one of the things that you develop over a period of time. And this is what makes good leaders and brilliant. You know who was like that was Napoleon.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Napoleon. He was like when he looked inside of people. He was very friendly with people at one hand. But this hand over here was like the devil, you know, so whichever way he saw it. You know, and I looked at leadership, and I looked at the quality of leadership today, and I looked at Jamie Dimon. You know who Jamie Dimon is?
I do.
Oh, girl, come on.
I'm still learning.
CEO Jamie Dimon. Citibank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Yes.
You know, I think it's Citibank. You know, and I studied this guy for like 2.5 years, and how he talked to people and the way he did things, and it all goes back to common sense. What do you think about that?
I overall agree, but at my time in human resources, I guess I've learned common sense isn't necessarily common, and so I don't walk into situations assuming someone should know better. There's rules and there's policies, but I think anytime I don't take the time to teach and set an example is important.
Jamie Dimon's Chase. Sorry about that. Yeah.
So I think we have to be willing to be patient and teach people, then set an example, and then hold them accountable. I think a lot of times you jump to just accountability, and there's black and white things that are just right or wrong. But when it comes to, again, humility within another individual, you have to be willing to teach them and not just assume they know the right way.
Damn, girl, you're good. Damn, you're good.
Thank you.
I'm loading them up on you. You're damn good.
I've had some great mentors in my life that have taught me, so I have to give them credit.
Oh my God. Where is Hackbright going, I'd say, in 10 years?
Gosh, in 10 years, I would love Hackbright to be in multiple locations. We're working on expanding out of just downtown San Francisco, but there are incredible markets that need for women to learn, if they want to go into technology, need that platform. And so I would love for us to be in another East Coast at that time. I can't speak to specifically where exactly, but I think the more expansion, and again, going back to change the ratio, we've had over 600 graduates. We want to change the ratio in a big way. So however we can get to thousands of women, for them to be in the work environment, to bring the amazing credentials that they have, that's success to us.
It sounds like you already have people who are survivalists in the business community.
Oh, thriving.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what it sounds like to me. That you're based on people who thrive.
Yes.
And survive.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the things, two of the things that I should say that are very critical in leadership. Is in employment today. Am I right?
Yeah, and I think that goes back to your confidence of knowing you can do it, taking a risk, getting out there doing it, working with other people who have been there, done that, and going for it. And oftentimes, if you do that, you're going to thrive.
If I said to you, I want you to mentor 20 people, okay, which you've probably done this before, and choose from that 20, 10 of the most prolific people, how would you go by doing that? Give me an idea of what you look at first in these 20 people.
Well, first I would want to have a one-on-one conversation with each person to find out what do they want to do. I'd want to hear their ability to articulate their goal, and go from there. I think those individuals that have a goal already, they're already one step ahead. Those that don't, then I would want to work with them and identify that goal. But then I'd also want to figure out that confidence and that willingness to be coachable. And I think if those individuals that I figured out had a goal, were willing to take the time to invest getting their goal, could articulate it, and then were coachable, those would be the individuals that would lead the pack, that I think would be probably the top 10 of 20.
That many?
Or more. I'm a big believer in meeting people where they are at. I can do a lot to help somebody when I'm mentoring them, but they have to take responsibility themselves too. And so if they're willing to put in the work and I can share what I've learned, then I think that's great. But there are, and I'm sure everyone can think of people in their lives where you've helped them, and they don't want to help themselves. And you don't want to give up on those people, but there is a point where their ability to be successful unfortunately decreases if they're not willing to help themselves.
Do you ever do public speaking?
I do here and there, yes.
You know, in Japan and the rest of the world, education starts in kindergarten.
Yeah.
By the time the average student is in the second grade, especially Japanese, they know kanji. Kanji, katakana, and hiragana are the three basics of languages of the whole Middle East. Far East,
the sounds of the mission.
And we're back again. Madame Chenier, Shiva, Abuless. Lady is a burner. You know what? It says your mentors are top engineers from Twitter, Google, you know, and other companies and other startups.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me how that works.
Yeah, so similar to this as well as what I was talking about before, is surrounding yourself with people that are there. And so
We just got on that, didn't we? Tech
We
industries
did,
are open
yeah.
to everybody. You know, and are you actually out there to be the magnet for hundreds and hundreds of these kids? You know, how do you present yourself to these kids and let them know that they can do it? How do you do that?
It's by getting our graduates, our women out there, getting them exposure. I was actually at the Grace Hopper conference in Orlando last week, which is a conference for women in technology. There were over 18,000 women there. They actually presented an award with Megan Smith, the former US CTO for President Obama. And so being around women like that have done really big things is a way and a platform to show exposure for younger generations that this is an option and this is something that they can do. And so I think that goes back to an example. And that's where in our program, our mentors are so incredible. Every student that comes into our program gets 2 mentors that are engineers actively in their field, and they volunteer. They're incredible resources to really encourage our students. Some even help them get job opportunities. So that is about giving back, and so I think that's how we also help in the community.
How do you become an example to young girls and let them know that they don't have to walk through the stigma? They can do just as much as you can do. All that they have to do is try a little bit.
Yeah. I think one, it's investing the time for them to know they're important, to them to know that you notice them and see the potential. And so I think you can do that by going into the community and hosting hackathons, by working with great nonprofits like Black Women Who Code, or Black Girls Who Code, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. And really, I think it's where, I think money goes a long way and resources are great, but I think what we often negate from is the time to actually sit down across the table from someone, hear their story, share your story, and encourage them, because they may not be getting that encouragement at home.
Do you have a presentation that you, like a video disc or something like that, that you mail out?
For prospective students or for girls in the community?
Just girls in the community.
That's a really good question. I can't think of a video off the top of my head, but we have an amazing website that we use. But oftentimes it's individuals.
Here we go. You want to tell people about that?
Sure, yeah.
There we go.
So our website is hackbrightacademy.com. A lot of wonderful information about our school, about the partners we work with, our mentors, and really the community that we build for our students. So when it comes to the community, I would say usually it's someone from the leadership team working with an organization to talk about the value of Hackbright and how we can help that organization, and us investing the time to make sure we're doing that.
One of the people that is on my Facebook page that follows me tenaciously is J. Alfred Smith Senior, and it would be advantageous, just send him something.
Okay.
Go online and look him up. He's quite a gentleman.
Okay.
And one of the things that I look at is the fact that I spent 5 years recruiting in LA, and I used to give at least 150, 200 speeches a year at different places, schools, churches, wherever. And I was very successful in that, and I look at the fact that people are looking for somebody to look up to. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I have amazing women mentors in my life who I look up to, and I aspire to be like them. I still want to be me, but there's many things that they've accomplished that I want to, and I don't know if I'd be as driven to accomplish the things that I want if I didn't see that they were able to do it. And so that's where I think being out in the community, I'm fairly new in my role. I've actually been in my role for about 2 months, but that's one of the things that I'm thinking through, the value of Hackbright, the educated women that we have. How do we build the community even larger to look at the future generation and ensure that we give them someone to look up to?
Dr. Smith is at Allen Temple, by the way.
Okay.
And he's quite a humanitarian. I deal with a lot of people from the bottom of the drum to the top of the sky, so to speak. And Dr. J. Alfred Smith Sr. is one of the people who is very prolific. He has a lot of savvy for life, and he loves people. He loves young people.
Okay.
You would be quite an impressive individual to him, and he's a hard man. Very, very hard. But he's a fair man.
Okay.
And if you could just send him something, in the mail, introduce yourself like an introduction, professional introduction, I think that would go a long way for you.
That's
One of the other things is I want to say, I'm listening to you talk about black girls.
Mm-hmm.
In our society, black girls have it harder than anybody, including the men. Why is that so?
Honestly, I think when you look at the dimensions of diversity, I talk to other colleagues that are also women, and they talk about their struggles, and a lot of them are of the majority. And I mean, I'll be honest and say, I don't even know what shows up. Is it the fact that I am African American that they see first, and then, or is it that, or is it that I'm a woman? Either way, those are both two underrepresented groups in society, and I happen to be both. And so very proud of who I am.
I'm gonna get off cue a little bit, okay? You make the average man shake in his shorts, Lady Fair. How about that? I'm not trying to be that way, but I have to be me sometimes. You shake him up, honey, because he's got to bring something to the table just to even talk to you. And and here you are. I'm not saying breeding, but training women to be in that same element. Which we look at. One of the things is minority men in general look at women as their possessions and all this other good stuff on top of it. they forget that the intelligence of women is, is one of the things that a lot of men overlook. I like to see a positive element in the community, and that's one of the things that I love. When I was on recruiting again, inner city America, and I grew up in East LA, which was, traditionally Spanish because of my mom, and I look at the fact that we need to actually get out and tell girls that you can do it.
Yes.
Am I right?
You're very right, and I think what follows that is to help them know their value and their worth. That's a lesson I learned very early on from my mom.
Well, you just put a word in there, and just threw the horse out of the carriage, so to speak. Not the people in the carriage, but the horse. Value, self-worth, and self-value. How do you look to establish that in people who are coming up?
I think it starts by encouragement. If they don't see their value and their worth, then you tell them. Tell them their value. Tell them they're worth it. Tell them they're smart and that they can do anything, and that and then be willing to share your story. I think a lot of us are resistant to be vulnerable about our challenges and the barriers that we faced. I think the more we can share that in the right setting, it really helps for people to know that kind of that me too, like, oh, you can relate to me. And I think that's really important and something that mentors can often really give back to someone by really getting to know them and allowing their mentee to get to know them too. But that I think is an important part, is know your value, know your worth, and then you're not going to let anybody shortchange you, whether it be career, relationship, anything like that.
Isn't that the avenue to success for most women, once they know their value and put some faith and confidence in themselves? Isn't that probably the best elements that you can have for a successful woman?
Yeah, I do think it's definitely the right path, but actually making it happen, it takes work, and you have to be around other women who also know their value and their worth. And so that's where I think as professional women, something that we should do more of is be in the community and show young girls and help them understand their value and their worth.
You have an alumni?
We do.
The Hackbright?
Yeah, we have a great alumni community.
Do you have an outreach there for people who are inquisitive about what you do?
Within our alumni community?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with our alum, it's basically anyone that's graduated from Hackbright. We like to create a lifelong community for an alum, so we often host different events for them. We often invite them back to meet with recruiters, so that instead of just helping them get their first entry-level job, we want to help them when they're going to mid-level, senior level, and actually our career developers are there whenever our alum need them. So we have alum that graduated 5 years ago and now want to move up in their career, and our team is there to help and support them.
You're in San Francisco. You want to tell people where?
Yeah, so we are in San Francisco. Our main office is off of 450 Sutter Street, so right in the Nob Hill area. Then we have another building off of 683 Sutter as well, where we teach 2 classes there as well.
So, you're telling me that we're going to have all these women, and they're going to scare the hell out of all these men in 10 years.
They're changing the world. They're already starting to change the world, and now we're doing it in larger numbers. But we can't do it alone. Whenever I talk to leaders, particularly male, that have been white males, they look and ask, well, Monique, what can I do? And I turn to them and say, you can do a lot, actually, even more than I can do. The advocacy, the leadership to talk to the top people in the organization to say, this is important, let's do something about it. So that's one of the biggest barriers that I'm working on right now, is we have great women who leave our program who can be very successful engineers and often are more ready to be a leader in engineering after a few years versus a traditional student. But I need companies to invest and understand, how do you nurture a non-traditional student, how do you help them with the learning curve? And some companies are kind of stuck in gearing toward traditional student, 4-year degree, in computer science and don't really know how to decrease the learning curve for women that are, or just individuals that are coming through a non-traditional program.
You know, I'm looking at the fact that you're saying this, that women can do. Anybody can do, you know. I like that because, you know, I'm looking at the fact also that a lot of people in the inner cities just think they cannot do. You know, oh, I can't do that.
They believe they can or are told they can, but they really can.
They're told they can.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things in human trafficking is people are told, women especially, are told what they cannot do. That's how they bang that in. And the women who break out that I found out, who says, yes, I can, you know, are the ones who become successful and go on.
Yeah.
So how many people are you going to recruit this year?
Well, this year we've had about 100 women go through our program. We have goals of even more women to go through. So it's, you know, it's interesting. There's barriers that we're trying to overcome. Obviously, there's a tuition for our school, and so we're always working with companies to find companies that be willing to provide scholarships so we can alleviate that financial burden. And then also women getting skilled up so that they have at least the 40 hours of coding. So we're aware that we set the bar high for women to come into our program, and we need partners in the community in the Bay Area. There's so many amazing companies in this area that understand the importance of diversity and are willing to do something about it.
I want to get a little bit personal with you, okay? All right?
All right.
Tell me, when did you have your vision? How long ago in life did you have this vision that you wanted to be where you are today? And we already talked about some of the pitfalls. You just tell me what sparked this little thing in your mind that I want to be right here. And how long has your trek been?
Gosh, I can remember back to being in elementary school. When
Don't tell me that.
when you have your career day and like, what do you want to do? And I always aspired to do something in a professional world. I mean, I can't say it's just me. I mean, honestly, when you ask that question, what comes to mind right away are things that my parents would tell me of if you're above and not beneath. You can do anything. And that still plays in my mind as an adult. So there was some nurturing early on that I can't negate from.
So, tell me, how did you feel going into junior high school with the same idea, and going into high school and into college with the same idea? How'd you keep that thought, and how did you focus on that? What was the one element that made you focus and made you stay in the line of that, you know, your career?
Yeah, I think it was seeing other women that looked like me, that were like me, that were doing it was important. Because I grew up going to schools there were very, very, very few minorities. And so it could easily become discouraging when I would walk in and be like, I'm the only one like me. So I'd have to find mentors that looked like me. My parents did a great job of ensuring that we understood our history and understood that there were mentors out there and people that, and particularly women of color, that have been very successful in making sure I understood their stories. But unfortunately, I don't think I was exposed to that in school, so it did take extra advocacy for my parents to give me that exposure. But that's what helped me to keep going, is because I knew there was someone like me who's done it and that's been successful, which means that there at least was a path that I could follow, and then hopefully I'd create my own path along the way.
So, when you were about 16, 17, the boy thing didn't get in your way. I had to put that in there. The boy thing didn't get in your way of your dream.
You know, when you're that age, dating and whatnot is a distraction, but
that's why I asked you that.
Yeah, you know, I just had a goal, and I think at that point, although there are distractions and things here and there that your friends are doing, I knew my worth, and it wasn't as strong as it is today, but there were seeds of who I am, my value, that were planted that continue to flourish over time. But it's not just me, it's everyone around you. I think the community that I was a part of, the friends that I was around, my best friends that I'm still in contact with, both went to college for undergrad. And so,
You know, that's one of the things that people in the inner city, people who don't feel that they can excel, they don't surround themselves with positive people, am I right?
yeah.
That's the biggest, one of the biggest downfalls. Whew, the smoke. Oh my God. I woke up, my whole yard is covered with gray ash.
I'm sorry.
But, you know, one of the things that we're looking at is surrounding yourself with quality people. That's critical.
It's very critical. And I think for those that don't have that, like for someone like myself, I can't just sit back and expect them to find me. I need to go out and find them. So it's kind of twofold. I can't just sit here and say, oh, this is what you do, this is what I did. I have to be willing to actually meet people where they are, understand the barriers that they've faced, and be able to go from there.
When you started this trek, you said that you looked at things and you focused on things. That's the biggest mistake that people don't make. They lose focus, am I right?
They do, and unfortunately society doesn't help as far as the images, particularly of African Americans that are out there in our media. But you just have to dig deeper and find people that are an example of who you want to be and strive after that.
So what do you aspire to be in 5 years? I always got the 10 years, 5 years. Where do you aspire to be, and how successfully you envision that you're going to be in 5 years? That's not a big question.
No. So I love what I do now. I think every career and every company I've chosen is because of what they do and their mission. And so I would hope to continue down that path. If it's at Hackbright, then I think that would be incredible. But I want to continue to grow as a leader. I am learning a lot. My team teaches me a lot too. And so I'm a director right now. Would love to be a VP by then and keep going. So I again, sky's the limit, but I know it's going to be a lot of hard work between now and then, and I'm willing to put in that work.
One of the things is you keep saying hard work. Most people don't keep that vision.
No.
I have to work, I have to play, I have to have this, this is where the problem comes in, am I right?
Yeah. You can't just expect or want something and think it's going to fall in your lap. You got to work for it. And that's not easy.
I'm looking at this thing, it says, learn to code with caring instructors, fun classmates, and supportive companies dedicated to encouraging women to work in the tech. Talk about that for a minute.
Yeah. So all of our instructors have been engineers, so they know what it takes to do well in the engineering world, and they bring that to Hackbright and help women be successful engineers, but in a very nurturing, confidence-building way of approaching it. Each of our instructors actually spend one-on-one time with the students each week to understand where they are in their progress. Are there any barriers that we can help them overcome? And really looking at our student as a whole person, not just a number, not just someone there to sit in a seat. It's a woman who's taking a big risk to take a career change, and we want to embrace them through that journey.
A lot of women never make it to the first level of a career, of a professional career.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at some statistics the other day, and out of 125,000 people that go into this women, and I looked this up, and only about 20% actually become, successful. That's not a good rate.
No.
So what would you say to women who are in that upper top tier, who just let it go and start having babies and doing that? And one of the things my friend Yvette said to me the other day, she said, I will forever regret not finishing college until I was 40 years old. You get that a lot?
Yeah, I have met a lot of women. So the parent company for Hackbright is Capella Education Company. It's an exclusively online university. And so I've spent a lot of time with their learners because it's over 70% women, majority women of color who through life circumstances didn't get to focus on their education, but they're in a place where they can do that now. And online education is helping them to get bachelor's degree, master's degrees, and above. But I've sat down with a lot of them and heard their stories, and there is regret. But I think looking back at the past to figure out how you can help somebody else, I think that's helpful. But just to look back at the past to feel bad doesn't really help you take a next step. And so I usually will say, well, look where you are now, and how do you use what you've learned along the way to get there. And their stories are incredible.
So, you're looking at motivation, actually,
Yeah, it's huge.
and holding on to it.
Mhm.
So how would you impress somebody to do that?
Well, I think it starts by me identifying their strengths and encouraging them if they don't already know that themselves. I think as humans, we have a way of holding on to our past and letting that hold us back. But getting to a place where you're at peace with your past and not feel like you can't make a change. I talk to a lot of women about they feel victim that they can't do anything else or they can't make a change. And I, as politely as I can, say that is not even true.
Being in this business right here, I hear some stories. Regret is the biggest one of all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I talk to any and everybody, and regret seems to be the one element that is, clear in their lives. They didn't accomplish what they wanted to accomplish because they regret making a critical decision that wasn't in the interest of what they were going to do.
A lot of people experience that.
So once a woman gets to the second year of professionalship, let's say, she's got the undergrad, and then the master's and the PhD. So where do women go from there? Knowing that there's limited resources out there for them to be CEOs and stuff like that.
I talked a lot about identifying people that are like me and following their path. I think there becomes a point where you make your own path. And so maybe there's not a person of color or a woman that's been a VP or a CEO, but figure out how can you? Just because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it won't or it can't happen. You might be breaking all the status quos, but it doesn't mean that it can't happen. So I think that's the part where we oftentimes tell ourselves we can't do things. And my personality is to ask why. Drove my parents nuts as a kid. But I want to know why. Like, why do you think you can't? What are the barriers? Why can't you do it? And then let people listen to themselves. And I have to do this for me too. So it's not like I have it mastered or figured it out. But oftentimes you'll then realize, oh, I'm creating my own barriers. And although it hasn't been done, why not try? I mean, the worst thing you can do is it doesn't work. And you're right where you started, but you've learned a lot along the journey versus never
You're
having
listening to Thoughts of Comedy with Charles the Champions. Breathe, listen, the sounds of the mission.
We're up there. I want you to put your stuff out there again, okay? Tell people how to contact you, where you're located at, and give somewhat of an expose of Hackbright, okay? And how it started again, because you know what? After you talk for a while, people forget.
Sure.
So we want to just remind people that this lady's here, folks.
Thank you. Yeah, again, I'm Monique Chenier, Director of Employment for Hackbright Academy. Hackbright Academy is an engineering school for women in San Francisco. We've graduated over 600 amazing women, and we have two programs. One is an immersive program that's 12 weeks. One is a part-time program, and so for individuals or women who want to get their feet wet into coding and understand it, our part-time program is absolutely incredible. We have a really great career development program where we help women prepare for the job search alongside them, hopefully so that they can find a job that they really enjoy. But we're located right downtown San Francisco, and our website is hackbrightacademy.com. So there's lots of amazing information on our website.
So, we're looking at the fact that you are a mover and a shaker at 31 years old.
30, 34, but close. Yes.
30, 34. Tell me something. When you started out, you had all these people around you, you know, egging you on, so to speak. How did you feel with all the support? Did that change your way of looking at life? Because you know what? When some people have people around them that changes, that make, you know, that egg them on, I'm saying egg them on, when I'm saying support them, you know, that's a critical thing, am I right?
It is very critical to have people around you that are going to support you. I think you have to use wisdom in who you listen to.
Mm-hmm.
Find people that are for you, not against you, is really important. And then be able to, even though maybe the path you choose isn't the popular one, still stand by it. But be willing to ask questions.
I think that's the biggest thing. You know, if somebody does not think it's a popular decision, you know, then they come in with negativism. Mm-hmm. You know, so how do you fight that?
So I start by having the idea and decision in mind and being willing to ask 2 to 3 people that I trust and that are advocating for me, what do they think? Because oftentimes if I'm making a decision that I often know might not be the best decision, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to ask because I don't want to hear something different than what I want to do. But I think that's the big step of asking 2 or 3 people that you trust and that are for you to help balance out, is this a good decision, is this a wrong decision, and be willing to listen to the feedback of what the people are telling you.
Your comment when we started was core people.
Mm-hmm.
That's important.
Yeah, it's very important.
Core people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like core people.
Exactly.
People that are like you.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you go out and find out who these extremely intelligent people are and where they're at? How did you do that?
Yeah. Gosh, I think it was through, I know for me, a lot of it was through school. Finding, if I was a freshman, I'd want to find a mentor that was a junior or senior. So always someone that was a few steps ahead of me that I can learn from. But when I learn from them, I have to be willing to listen to their feedback too. And so I think that's the challenge of maybe why some people don't seek mentors, because you have to be willing to hear the tough stuff and do something about it.
You got a tough skin.
I develop it over time.
Tell me, who outside of your family, who was the most prolific person that you can bring to name?
There's actually 2 leaders in the HR department at Capella Education Company that have been pretty incredible. 2 people that had influence and power, but took the time to see my potential and to really challenge me to get out of my comfort zone and try things, although I may not have had the answers, and then would provide feedback. That wasn't always easy for me to hear, but I knew that they were providing it because they wanted to help me, and then that resulted in growth over a period of time.
People are not confident to get out of their comfort zone.
Oh gosh, no. Mm-mm.
That's a big thing, isn't it?
It's you. Why do something uncomfortable? But growth is out of your comfort zone. I don't want to say that's the one thing I've learned, but it's up there.
So who spoke to you and just kind of picked you up?
So do I get to start back with my family or in my professional world?
In the professional world.
Mm.
I know your family was there for you.
Yeah.
That's a given.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about people outside of your family,
Mm-hmm.
because you know what? If you don't put the correct people in your corner, you will not make it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, usually I would seek out other, like in organizations I've worked in, seek out other women leaders who I could take to coffee and just pick their brain and understand how did you get where you are today. That was a big part. So networking is really, really important.
You know who you sound like? Susan Rice. You know who that is?
I do. Yes.
You know, you sound like, you have the same everything. And it tells me that success was yours from the beginning. Some people are born into success. Some people thrust themselves into success. Some people just fall into it, let's be honest.
Sure.
But you seem to have that little ring to you. I listen to her a lot, especially when it comes to politics.
Okay.
You know, and I listen to several things that she has to say. You know, you got that little ring about you, and I should say that it's very important, and it's very impressive.
Thank you.
You know, and I'm gonna tell you something. I'm hard on people. I'm very hard on people. You know, I have a lot of compassion and a lot of passion for life itself, but I'm hard on people in the right that I think I should be, because I want to find out who you are and where you are, and I'll take the extra mile. And Susan Rice, I started looking into her whole story, and if you look into her thing, you guys have the same footprint. You know, I want to ask you something. To get, and this is the same question in a different manner, to get young girls to follow you, what would you do? And I keep saying that and asking you that, it's the same question, because you can be a pillar of the community. So what would you say to all these young girls out there who are looking, and they need mentors, they need somebody to talk to, because believe it or not, they're lost. Am I right?
Yeah, I think we use so many platforms in our world of what people think they should be.
Yeah.
But that's not the reality, unfortunately. So I think it starts by me being willing to meet people where they are, spending time in the communities where these young girls are, and then it's up to me to live by example. And so your words are important, but I think your actions and how you live your life.
That is the cliche, your actions. Am I right?
Very right.
That is the catalyst for the whole thing. Am I right?
Very right, yes.
Good. Go on, girl. Keep on going. I didn't mean to stop.
Yeah, no, it's okay. But yeah, so then back to challenge for me is, if I want other women to be successful and I want to mentor other women, I have to be grounded, know my worth, and continue to work hard. And not be someone that just says, oh, you should do this, you should do that. But if I'm not doing it, then that's not really valuable. So I think that's an important part. That keeps
Hard
me
work
honest.
scares people. You know that,
Oh
don't you?
gosh, yes.
Saying,
But
please.
the jaws that you use are really losing the sounds of the mission.
I'm gonna sing.
No.
Dang it. I was telling people I can sing Pavarotti.
No.
No.
No. Anyway, we're getting back to here. Let's tell people how to get a hold of you again, because it's very critical. And I wanted everywhere over the interview, because I would like for you to go out. When we podcast this, I want to make sure it's getting out there. And we got everybody accounted for. And I want to make sure that people know who you are. Because, hey, girlfriend, let me tell you something. People want to be like you, but they don't know how to do it. This is something in our society. People want to emulate other people, but they don't know how to start the road up. Thousands and millions. I don't know who want to be like me, but God, dang, I can't believe I said that. But yeah, a lot of people, a lot of girls, you know, they want to be successful, and all the social innuendos, I call them, that in the targets that they walk through, they're always, you know, girls are preyed upon more than anybody. You know, and I'd like to use you as an example. We're going to podcast you, and we're going to take some pictures and do all that good stuff in a little bit, because we're going to put you out there, girlfriend.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You want to put your stuff out there one more time? I'm looking at https Oh, that's Facebook. Woo!
Yeah.
Oh,
Look at
Hackbright Academy.
and look at the calendar with
Huh?
a big smile and tell everybody. Yeah.
All right, so Hackbright Academy, our website is hackbrightacademy.com. I am Monique Chenier, the Director of Employment. If you are looking for incredible women engineers, you're always welcome to reach me personally at monique@hackbrightacademy.com.
Shows what they're doing.
So we are always looking for companies, especially in the Bay Area, that have needs for great people in technology, and we have great people that we can send your way.
I'm trying to bring up a website, and I'm looking at this. Come on, Sam. I'm looking at the fact that, again, it's very prolific. I'm trying to wait for this thing here to come. Oh, there it is. Woo!
So tell us about the scholarships.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have been really honored by a variety of companies that will provide funding so that we can give partial scholarships, sometimes full scholarships to women that want to come into our program. So we are always looking for also organizations that want to provide funding for scholarships. Our website, like I mentioned, hackbrightacademy.com, has a lot of great information. One of the things that I'm always so impressed with is at the very beginning of the page, you will see women who have gone through our program, the career that they were in before, and then the career that they went into after attending Hackbright. And so a lot of great stories to help understand where people have started and where they where they are in their journey and the success that they've had and continue to have.
I'm looking at, we won't talk no last names, but Jessica, you want to talk about Jessica a little bit?
So there's been a few Jessicas.
The Igobi Igbo or whatever. He's looking at the African lady on your Facebook page.
So I believe she started as a social media coordinator based off of what's on our page, and then went through Hackbright in our immersive program and left as an engineer. I have not had the honor of meeting her personally, but definitely was someone we were really proud to reach out to and feature her on the website because of her incredible story and her career transition.
You know what? You're actually building super women.
We are, yes.
That's what that amounts to.
Mm-hmm. Very right.
You guys have coffee clutches. I see all this good stuff. You have coffee chats.
Yeah.
You guys get into this thing, huh?
We do. We want, it's a big decision to make, to decide that you want to go into this field, to decide that you're going to change your career. Some of the women already live in the Bay, some don't. So they're moving here to go to this 12-week program. And we want any opportunity that we have, whether it be a tour, whether it be a coffee chat, to bring them into our world so that they can understand they can do this, and let them meet our education team, our admissions team. And so on our website, there's actually quite a few events listed for coffee chats throughout the Bay Area, which is just a great time to meet our admissions team and learn about the admissions qualifications, but also learn about Hackbright and figure out if that's the program for you.
www code and Hackbright Scholarship / Hackbright Academy. You guys are, I'm looking at this thing, and you have women of all colors, shapes, sizes, and
We do.
endeavorments.
Mhm.
I like that big word. Did that impress you? Endeavorments.
Very impressive.
Oh my gosh. But anyway, this program is for everybody.
It is. Everyone that's a woman that has a desire to be in.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Just want to make sure we don't go too far. We're exclusively for women.
Yeah. And you guys, I'm looking at so much here. And, oh boy, I lost it. Hang on. There we go. And, wow. I'm looking at this one view where you're in this, somebody's in this building, And it's got number 16 on it. That looked like a dinner or something like that, you guys?
Yeah, so each cohort is what we call the class of women that come together. And so they themselves build their own community of usually somewhere between 20 to 25 women per cohort. And so they come into the program, they learn together, and they really help encourage and challenge each other. And so what you're seeing is from cohort 16. We often do field trips at different organizations. So like one of the pictures is Pinterest has hosted a field trip. We've had great companies like Circle CI host our graduation. And so there's a lot of great companies in the Bay Area that understand the value of what we bring and give our students a chance to be in the environment with other engineers. And that's a pretty priceless experience.
I brought up this photo of 74 people.
74 people.
Yeah, it's got all kinds of people in it.
Yeah.
All walks of life, women,
Yeah.
not men.
Correct.
I had
There's
to
already
put-
enough men in technology, so.
Yeah, there is that is very true.
Mhm.
That is very true.
Yeah.
So you guys are very open.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, you've got a good program.
There's so many studies. The more diverse your workforce is, the more diverse your classroom is, the better off your students and employees are going to do. And so we put that to work in our program.
Who are the three prolific leaders of Hackbright?
So our amazing CEO, Alice Hill, is absolutely incredible.
You want to talk about her a little bit?
Yeah, so Alice came to Hackbright in June of this year. Prior to that, she was actually a CTO at eBay. And so she understands what it is to be a woman in technology and to be one of the few women or the only woman on a team. And then move up through an organization and then lead a team and try to pave the way for other women. And so I always love any chance I get. She's very, very busy, but any chance I get to have her talk to her students so that they can see someone that that resembles them and know that Alice has done it and she's done an incredible job, obviously CEO of Hackbright now, and build the confidence that they can do it too. And so she's very inspiring. Honestly, one of the big reasons I accepted my current position is because I wanted to work for her. And so that in itself, I think, speaks volumes about her leadership. We also have a really great team of educators. Our director of fellowship is Maggie Mankin. She went through our program.
What's the name again?
Maggie Mankin.
Maggie Mankin.
Mm-hmm. She's our director of the fellowship. And so she leads all of the educators that teach our women in our immersive program.
And the third person? Oh, we got a break?
Who's the third person?
I would say me, because I lead the team that helps with career development.
Yay!
So getting our students jobs is important.
With Charles the Chief leads the sounds of the nation.
And we're back again. And do I have any instructions from my manager? You don't want to instruct me and do that? Okay, she let me off the hook again today.
Yeah, we just want to go through, a day in the life of the lady about to become an engineer. She shows an interest. She comes to, whether she found you on a website or walked into the building. What happens after that?
Yeah. Well, I'm actually going to take a few steps before that of how a woman gets started, because I think that's important. If there are women listening, or if you know someone who has a passion to be in technology, I think figuring out how do you start the journey is really important. And so we have different events. Coffee Chats is one of them. We actually have one coming up on the 12th of October. That is actually in Oakland from 11:30 to 1:30 at the Fairleigh East Coffee Shop. And then we also have an info session on Tuesday, October 17th from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at 450 Sutter Street. And additionally, we also have a Hackbright Code Camp. And so earlier we talked about the confidence component. And so it's a weekend-long exposure to getting a good grasp on software engineering and figuring out if this is for you. And so we try to do a lot of different things to help women get that exposure to figure out if this is for them and how to start in their journey. So those are 2 or 3 great events. Outside of that, also, there's tons of information on our website, hackbrightacademy.com, that you can look through as well. So once a prospective student decides they want to do this, they come in with 40 hours of coding. They go through our admissions process. We have an incredible admissions team that works with our students to understand, well, why do you want to do this? What do you want to do with it? There's a technical coding challenge that we use to check the technical ability. There's often a video interview as well, just to understand the student, their learning style, and we're really just trying to understand how serious are you about this and how can we set you up for success in the program, and also where are you at? So what additional support might be needed in the program. And then we actually do a welcome night, which is a really fun night for the students to be able to meet the other people in their cohort before class starts. So we usually have food, introduce them to the team that'll be working with them, and then they start that next Monday, and then it's Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for 12 weeks. In the midst of that is lab time, lecture time. We also have a demo night where we invite employers in the area to see our students provide or show their projects. And so each student builds a project that are absolutely incredible. And employers get a first chance to see our students in action and hopefully talk to them about employing them. And then we have a huge celebration at the end where we invite family and friends of the students to be able to attend as well. So it is a lot that happens in 12 weeks, along with building your resume, along with building your online presence. That's where 19 really steps in.
Do you have a portfolio as well? Because that's always really important now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we help them. There's a lot of different ways. We do talk about LinkedIn and connecting their projects, connecting their resume. Our account managers actually help provide intros to employers, but we've helped them walk away with the best foot forward in getting their career.
In other words, stand by for heavier roles.
And more women in technology.
More women in technology. You know, we're going to see an acceleration of women in technology because the man population, even though they're there, they've been there for a long time. We're going to start seeing women who really, go bonsai, wrong terminology. Yeah, we're bonsai into the tech world because, this is what they said they're going to have to add at least 200,000 tech people in the next 10 years. 255,000 was the figure. That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Technology is moving that fast. Wow.
It's very high in demand.
Very high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, learn to build those apps and go make that money, ladies.
Exactly.
And we're running out of time. We don't want the podcast to cut us off.
Yeah, we're about out of the gate now.
So I just want to remind everybody to check us out on thoughtsofacommonman.net. There you'll find the podcast and the video and other information about the show. And we will see you next week. Any closing words, Chief?
Love you, baby. In other words, we're getting back to the fires in Sonoma and, help those people. If anybody calls you, give them a hand. Whatever you can give, bottled water, whatever, give it because, you got 15,000 homes that were lost over the weekend. Okay, we'll talk to you later. See you next week.